Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today as we're sitting here talking about WWE's Survivor Series, which is going to be coming up in 2 weeks on the WWE Network. I know that we just had Evolution, we just had Crown Jewel, but boom, 2 weeks from today, we're beginning WWE Survivor Series 2018. They are once again going the Raw versus SmackDown route. There was some small talks basically thinking that people were going to be changing up the way Survivor Series was and they wouldn't do Raw versus SmackDown. I don't know why. I mean, I was a fan of Battleground back in the day, but Raw versus SmackDown the last 2 years has honestly gotten me really, really excited. I can tell you that last year the hype for Survivor Series for me was probably at an all-time high. It probably was the pay-per-view that I was most excited for since WrestleMania 32, the last WrestleMania that I'd gone to, and I was so hyped that WrestleMania packages had already gone on sale, but I was starting to think of maybe finding a way to be able to go to Orlando to go to WrestleMania, trying to piece together a trip, maybe piggyback off some other people, and then Survivor Series came. It honestly really was a really good 2 and 3/4 hour show. And then the men's tag match just came to a screeching halt with Triple H making the match about himself. I've always been a Triple H fan. I still am a Triple H fan today. But him making that match about himself more than about anything else, I didn't understand it. Taking time to stop the match, to eliminate Kurt Angle. I know that it set up the Kurt Angle tag match at WrestleMania with Rousey and Angle going up against Stephanie and Triple H. But at that time, that was just a ground screeching halt for me, especially that Rousey wasn't even in WWE at the time, and you couldn't really 100% tell what they were doing. It just put a sickening feeling in my stomach, and all of my WrestleMania plans were crumpled up and thrown in the trash. This year, the second that they announced Survivor Series, the first match that they announced was Ronda Rousey going up against Becky Lynch for the Women's Championship. That's going to be a really good match, seeing how it's the two best women in the world today. Obviously, Ronda Rousey over on the Monday Night Raw brand, in my opinion, doesn't have any competition to go up against. Becky Lynch just went through hell and back with Charlotte Flair to beat her at Evolution, and possibly one of the best women's matches that I've ever seen, to be honest. And Becky Lynch basically saying that no one's going to be able to stop her, is showing no fear going up against Ronda Rousey on the Monday Night Raw brand. I think that this is going to be some good, fun, fierce competition. You've got the United States champion going up against the Intercontinental title holder. You've got Rollins going up against Nakamura. This is easily a dream match that when Nakamura was going through NXT, people pointed to and said basically it would be awesome to see these guys go up against each other. And I'm pretty sure it's the first time being able to see this match. The only thing is that if out of the 3 matches that have been named, last year I knew that one of those titles was going to change hands. And I think that honestly it was Natalya lost the SmackDown's Women's Championship before she was able to have her match. But this year, something's going to happen with this match, and I'm pretty sure it's going to involve Seth Rollins dropping that Intercontinental title. Definitely him versus Ambrose is going to be the biggest storyline that is running on Monday Night Raw. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ambrose causes Rollins to lose the Intercontinental title. So he loses this match and he's not able to be a part of it. That, in my opinion, is something that's going to happen. Plus, something has to happen with those Raw titles. And that's the only way, the only reason why I don't think a tag team match has been named. But if Nakamura versus Rollins does happen, I think that this is going to be a really good match. When we flip over, we look at the WWE Championship match, which is going to be Brock Lesnar going up against AJ Styles. It honestly doesn't get any bigger than this. Last year we had to have a last minute AJ beating Jinder Mahal to make this match happen. And if anybody was going to beat Brock, I honestly think that it was going to be AJ Styles. And AJ, even though he lost the match, he looked really good going in that war, and I think he was able to bring a new style to Brock Lesnar that we had never seen before, and I think that's why people are really so fired up to see this. We don't have any plans as of right now to see what's going to be going down with the men's champion or the men's tag match. More than likely, I see most of the competitors from the World Cup being involved in that match. SmackDown possibly being led by Shane McMahon. Monday Night Raw probably being ran by Kurt Angle. Probably you've got Kurt Angle, Dolph Ziggler, Drew McIntyre, Braun Strowman, and the easiest guy to pick would be Dean Ambrose. But I'm telling you that Dean Ambrose is going to be doing something with Seth Rollins. So I don't know who you're going to be able to pick as that fifth guy on the team off the top of my head to be the Raw brand. But you flip over, you look at SmackDown, it could be, Shane McMahon, it could be Samoa Joe. Who else do you got going over there? I mean, you just have to put the storyline together about how they're going to be able to build this team and if they're going to be able to work together. Because off the name that I named already, I mean, you've got Strowman, McIntyre, and you've got Ziggler, and those guys all pretty much have heat with each other. When you look over at the SmackDown brand, you've got Shane McMahon, who just removed The Miz from the World Cup finals. The Miz was injured, but he doesn't seem that happy about being taken out of it. But we'll have to see what goes down with this one. But I think the Survivor Series honestly is going to be a big show. I don't think I'm going to get as hyped for this as I did for last year, so I don't want to get anybody psyched up, thinking that maybe I have WrestleMania plans to go to New York. If I was ever going to go to WrestleMania again, it's not going to be New York City. I've talked about that in past videos. It's just too expensive, too big, and just too much stuff that there is. Someday I'm going to go to New York. I'll travel around and look at all the sights to see in the city. When I watched everybody's videos from WrestleMania 29, I really missed, number one, going to the 9/11 thing. I missed the Briscoes title change at the ROH show. The ROH show, I think, took place at the place where Monday Night Raw I think it was at the Manhattan Center. So that would be one thing that I would always want to cross off my book, is being able to see at least the center or something go down there. Go to Madison Square Garden to see the Hall of Fame. Nothing, I think, is going to be held at Madison Square Garden other than that New Japan show that's going to be happening WrestleMania weekend. So, I mean, there is things that I'm going to be able to not be able to cross off my wrestling bucket list, but when it just comes down to talking about Survivor Series, this is going to be a really good show. I'm hyped about it, and I honestly hope you guys are too. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today as we're sitting here talking about the upcoming WWE Survivor Series matchup. This one is going to be the mid-card champions going after each other. Shinsuke Nakamura going up against Seth Rollins. When Nakamura was going through NXT as the NXT champion, we all knew that there was going to come a day when he moved up to the main roster. And honestly, Seth Rollins was one of those guys that I think was looked at as a dream match for Nakamura to come in and have a match against. In my opinion, or in my memory, I guess you can say, this is probably the first time that these guys have ever had a match against each other. Nakamura has mostly been on the SmackDown brand since coming up, and Seth Rollins has always been a member of Monday Night Raw. So the draft has basically kept them, separated. But I'm really excited for this. I do have question marks about this match. As of right now, there's 3 matches that have been named. You've got the WWE champion against the Universal champion. You've got the women's champions going up against each other, and you've got the United States champion going up against the Intercontinental champion. Definitely, in my mind, we had Dean Ambrose turn on the Shield. We had Dean Ambrose turn on Seth Rollins after Roman Reigns walked away. These guys still are the Monday Night Raw WWE Tag Champions. We have not had them, take the titles off of these guys. They've not really progressed the storyline yet. We don't really know where it's going, but Rollins is known as a fighting champion. I wouldn't be surprised to see him put the Intercontinental title on the line against Dean Ambrose, basically to prove to him that he's not an egomaniac that broke up the Shield the first time. And this is something that makes me think that Dean Ambrose turned on Rollins just so Rollins wouldn't turn on him again, much like when the Shield broke up the first time. And if Rollins puts the title against the line, he's holding up his name and his credibility. If somebody could have it, and Ambrose could just come in and beat him, and Ambrose steals this match against Nakamura at the same time. I can honestly tell you, if that's the way that they did go, Nakamura versus Ambrose doesn't really have the same feel to me. This is like a really special dream match that I think that might be the first time that we get to see. Ambrose versus Nakamura might be fun, but at the same time doesn't have that dream match feel to it. So we could have Ambrose just beat Rollins to become Intercontinental Champion, or we could have Ambrose cost Rollins the Intercontinental Championship in another match, and then we would be able to have Ambrose and Rollins free at Survivor Series, either to take each other on, and although it would be a Monday Night Raw match, but it would be a lot like when they did Survivor Series 2 years ago, and they had a Goldberg versus Brock. And it's just going to be a special attraction. This is the main storyline that's going on in WWE. Definitely people are going to be wanting to see this match happen. So we'll see what goes on with this one. But if they were to take the Intercontinental title off them, that would free up them for something to do with the tag titles, or maybe Ambrose and Rollins would have to be a fun team where they don't like each other, but they have the team together. They could just take the titles off of them. They could put them in a tag title tournament. They could just put one match out there as like I know they decided the tag titles on like a tag team battle royal before, so the tag teams isn't the really biggest thing, or they could just do WCW. When Sting and the Giant were tag partners, they made them fight to find who was going to be the new tag champs. And then when they were new tag champs, I think Sting just started tagging with Kevin Nash until he got beat, and Sting and Kevin Nash were the tag champs. So maybe that's what they'll do. But then again, I don't really know who's going to be jumping up to team with Rollins and or Ambrose, even if they did become the new sole champions, to pick a new partner to become tag champs with. So much to see. I know we didn't talk about Nakamura much, but this honestly is a really special dream match that I hope really does happen. It would be a really good match to go down for Survivor Series. If it was Nakamura versus Rollins, and I had to give you my prediction 2 weeks out, honestly, as of right now, I pick Rollins to get the win. Here we go. As if Charlotte versus Becky Lynch wasn't the best women's match that I've seen, honestly, possibly if not the best one that I've seen in a long time in WWE. They might be found a way to be able to top it. Ronda Rousey against Becky Lynch at WWE Survivor Series 2018. This, of course, is going to be a Raw versus SmackDown special challenge match where you have the Raw Women's Champion going up against the SmackDown Women's Championship. I think that, honestly, they have struck fire with the women's division right here. That they have quite possibly had this pay-per-view at the best time possible. Becky Lynch, many people were questionable about her SummerSlam heel turn on Charlotte, basically saying that Charlotte was the one that basically screwed her, and that Becky shouldn't be, firing back as the heel. She should be looked at as the babyface. After, Evolution, with them beating the holy hell out of each other and Becky Lynch coming out on top, her being able to say that she is the best woman in the world in WWE and now taking it and fighting against Ronda Rousey is, there's no other best time for them to do it. This is going to be a really good match. When I look at Ronda Rousey and I look at the Monday Night Raw roster, I don't really see any credible opponents out there for her at all. I know that Nia Jax won the Evolution Royal Rumble. She's going to be getting a title shot somewhere down the line. Rousey's going to kill Nia Jax. They already had their matchup at Money in the Bank. Rousey was going to beat her for the champion then if Alexa Bliss didn't come in and get involved in that match. So I'm not worried about Nia Jax down the road, but Becky is somebody that honestly could come in and put up a fight. Rousey, I know that when somebody comes into WWE, they get undefeated, they just keep winning matches. Then you get to the point of, we have to have them lose, but we can't make them look too weak. Honestly, in my opinion, if anybody's going to beat Ronda Rousey, I don't think it's going to be Becky Lynch. But if it was Becky, this would be the biggest kick in the pants for the SmackDown brand, as well as for Becky Lynch, giving her the push of a lifetime to get her there. And then it would also help Ronda Rousey. She's got a lot of credibility coming over from UFC and becoming a new superstar in the women's division. I almost called it the Diva division. But, she can't be undefeated forever. And you have to find a way to beat her. It's not going to be like Goldberg. Well, look at Asuka. Asuka had her first loss at WrestleMania, and here we are almost 3/4 of a year later, and Asuka still hasn't been able to build herself up to get over that loss from last year's WrestleMania to Charlotte. And I know that was part of the grand scheme of things. More than likely, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte is going to main event WrestleMania 35. I'm guessing that Charlotte's going to win the Women's Royal Rumble to be able to make this challenge, but I'm not 100% sure. But as far as Survivor Series, this is going to be a really good match. It's hard for me to pick Becky Lynch. I want to, but if I had to make my prediction today, 2 weeks ahead of time for Survivor Series, I'm picking Ronda Rousey to get the win. I think the WWE Championship match, where you have the WWE Universal Champion going up against the WWE Champion at Survivor Series, is beyond the point of lit. I think this is one of the best matches that you could possibly do in WWE. I just made a video reviewing over Crown Jewel, basically saying that WWE has booked itself into a corner again. I understand that when the WWE Universal Championship is wrapped around the waist of Brock Lesnar, WWE feels that they have the best champion in the world because of Brock Lesnar's UFC ties and just him being a real big badass and a major star. To me, honestly, when Brock Lesnar is champion, it is one of the most boring times in WWE. You have Monday Night Raws where the champion is not there. It makes the show not feel as big. It makes it feel like nothing's really going to happen. You have matches going down, but what do the matches really mean? He watered down Seth Rollins' run with the Money in the Bank briefcase because the fact that you have a briefcase, but you never have anybody to cash in on, and he's just gone for months at a time. I understand that with Brock's deal, Brock's more than likely not going to be around for a long time, but he's going to wrestle at Survivor Series in an exhibition match. The championship's not on the line. There is no Money in the Bank in play, so there's no chance of him losing the title. And then after that, what is the plan for Brock Lesnar? If he's going to be going into camp and he's going to be getting ready for a fight in January in UFC to fight Daniel Cormier, is he even going to be able to be there for the Royal Rumble? Is he going to want to take bumps at the Royal Rumble? Is he going to be wanting to have a match? Is he going to be ready enough to have a match at WrestleMania? When is the next time we are going to see our champion? I know that anything really could happen, but when it comes down to Brock Lesnar, I don't really see them having him have a match on Monday Night Raw. And so I think that it's locked in that Brock is going to be the guy at Survivor Series. I don't think there's any way you get the championship off of him. AJ is a guy that, he will put the title up on SmackDown. And SmackDown, although they don't do title changes a lot, they did a title change right before last year's Survivor Series, taking Jinder Mahal out of the match, replacing him with AJ Styles, a little bit due to, the fanfare and a little bit because of Jinder Mahal is Jinder Mahal. And they wanted to have a little bit of buzz before the show. But, that match was really, really good. I can remember watching the Survivor Series last year just like it was yesterday. I do remember that I had to watch it on tape delay because of the fact I had to take my car to the lot because it blew a hose or something like that. So I remember watching the first match of the night and then having to come back and basically recap watching the rest of the show and finishing later after everybody, and just still having that high of just like, man, how good was Brock versus AJ. AJ was able to bring a new style to fighting Brock. We've never really seen anybody take the high impact sort of the high risk, I guess you can say. Most people let the fight come to them when it comes to Brock Lesnar, because he's most of the time fighting bigger guys, and AJ not really being smaller, but not really having the girth and the strength behind, punching Brock Lesnar in the face. Was coming off the top ropes, giving him drop kicks to the head, things like that. That makes it really fun. So, no doubt in my mind, Brock is going to win this match. I know that it is kind of weird because the second year in a row we have the same match that's going to have the same finish. AJ is a great wrestler, but I don't see them having AJ Styles beat Brock Lesnar. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Steve Breach coming to you here today. The last video that we're going to talk about for WWE Survivor Series 2018 is going to be a match that has not been announced, but it is a match that has been talked about. And hopefully, after WWE's Crown Jewel 2018, I honestly hope that this match doesn't happen. I hope that this match gets scrapped. I never thought that Shawn Michaels would ever come back and return to wrestling. Shawn Michaels did come back. He wrestled at WWE's Crown Jewel 2018, returning and reuniting with Triple H to bring back DX. They wrestled against the Brothers of Destruction, Undertaker, and Kane. The match was not at 100%. There was an injury to Triple H. There was a missed spot that happened that sort of threw the whole match off from there. No real fault can get pointed at anybody for the injury or for the missed spot. But to me, honestly, the match that we're talking about is Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker. This, of course, would be the real big reason why Shawn did return. He came back. He was in the corner at the Super Showdown. That's nothing that is new. I mean, we've seen Shawn come back and be the special guest referee. We've seen him be in Triple H's corner. We've seen him come back and deliver promos with Triple H. We've seen, various DX reunions, like on Raw 25. Just spots where you bring back a guy. And Shawn Michaels now has wrestling in his blood again. He has moved him and his family to Orlando. He works at the Performance Center where he gets in the ring and he helps a lot of guys and with their characters and their move sets and putting together matches and trying to build the superstar of tomorrow to make WWE a bigger and better place in the future. It's a part of Triple H's bigger plan of making the WWE a bigger company down the line and down the road. All right. Shawn came back. He wrestled this match. People have said that, this was all leading to basically Shawn versus The Undertaker one more time at Survivor Series. I'm hoping that no one out there really wants to see this match again. I know that in the grand scheme of things, it was supposed to be, Undertaker versus Shawn. Now Triple H is injured, but Triple H was never really supposed to be a part of this match. Maybe he was supposed to be on the outside. Maybe he was supposed to be cheering him on in his corner. Maybe they would do some sort of a spot where just to give Undertaker and Shawn some time. Him and Kane would get involved in the match and be able to give a rest to Shawn Michaels and things like that. But I don't know. Shawn, he was gone for a long time. WrestleMania 26 was years ago, 2011. Now we're in 2018, so seven to 8 years Shawn's been out of the ring. And I know he gave a promo on the WWE's YouTube channel as well as on Twitter and Facebook where they interviewed him, and he said that he's been out of the ring for a long time. He said that week for him was hell, just trying to get over the nerves of getting back into the ring, if he was going to be able to be, Mr. Hall of Fame, Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. Main Event, whatever nickname he wants to go by this week. He didn't want to ruin, the aura or the persona that he had made with Shawn Michaels. He didn't want to throw that out. But honestly, to me, when I got the first glimpse of Shawn Michaels when he took off the cowboy hat at Crown Jewel, that to me is when I knew that it was over. That it just was not going to be the Shawn Michaels that we had known in the past. Everybody gets old. Everybody gets to that point that they just can't do it anymore. I know that if you set up the perfect match and everything goes 100%, you can go out there and you can have a good short match where, you use the smoke and mirrors, much like, WrestleMania 31 with Sting versus Triple H, and it comes off as a really fun atmosphere, and people remember it as being, one of the best matches that we've seen of the night. But I don't know. I have the hugest doubts about this match, and I just really honestly don't think that they should go through with this match. Survivor Series in its own, it's already going to have AJ versus Brock. It's going to have, as of right now, Rollins versus Nakamura. Those are looked at as two big dream matches in WWE. Possibly the biggest match that you can have on the women's roster right now with Rousey versus Becky Lynch. I know that, in my opinion, I think Charlotte versus Rousey has appeal, but they're saving that for WrestleMania down the road come April. So, I know that, you have the Survivor Series and it's billed as a 4-hour pay-per-view. You're going to be having a women's tag. You're going to be having a men's tag. Possibly having, a tag team match where it's going to be, Raw versus SmackDown. Maybe you'll be having some sort of a tournament. I think you can fill the show up with that. You don't need to have Shawn versus Taker. It doesn't have anything to do with Shawn's promise to Undertaker. I don't care about that. That's all backstage stuff. He's been gone for a long time. He decided to come back. He had a match. Hopefully he made a shitload of money. It was fun to see him one time. I don't want Shawn Michaels to be that new guy that is just hanging onto the roster by a thread and you're just seeing him too much. Shoot. I'm already there, so I'm just going to do it. I love Mick Foley. Mick Foley in small doses is a really, really good performer in the WWE. He went a whole lot farther. He was a really big part of the Attitude Era. He had some really, really good matches. Him against Triple H, honestly, in my opinion, is one of the best Hell in a Cell matches that there is when they were fighting for Mick Foley's career. No Way Out, I think, is what show that was, and I think it was 2000. But that was a really, really good show. But somewhere along the line, we saw Foley too much, and we saw Foley come back and have matches that just weren't Mick Foley-style matches, and you can tell that he was just sort of just hanging around. And I don't want Shawn Michaels to be that guy. I know that, he always would come out and say that he didn't really follow the wrestling business that well when he came back or when he was asked, and he didn't have the best answers for what was going on in the wrestling business. But now here he is. He's working at NXT every day, and he's going to be seeing these guys, and these guys are going to be looking up to Shawn as somebody that they watched back in the day, and just saying that they want to get in there one more time. And, he closed the door on not wanting to do Shawn versus Daniel Bryan because he thought that storyline had been done to death, the teacher versus student. I'm hoping that we're not going to be seeing more of these teacher versus student matches in WWE. I'm fine and dandy saying that we've seen the last Shawn Michaels match, and I hope we have. And, if it does happen, if Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels happens, I don't really even know how you have a finish. Does Shawn get to beat Taker? And then honestly, when you look at Undertaker's last run in WWE, Undertaker loses at the Super Showdown. Undertaker and Kane lose at Crown Jewel. If Taker's wrestling now, Taker's going to wrestle at WrestleMania. Taker lost at WrestleMania, didn't he? Was this the year that he lost to Roman Reigns in the main event and we all thought that he was retired? What does Undertaker mean? Even that guy, you can sort of be like, what the hell is he still doing here? What does his match mean if he wrestles anybody? Even if he wrestles Finn Balor, in my opinion, what would be a dream match of Undertaker against the Demon at WrestleMania, if Undertaker's losing all these matches that aren't at WrestleMania, what's going to make this WrestleMania match special when we've already seen Taker lose at WrestleMania twice? You can't bring up the streak because he's not going to be going out there trying to wrestle at the next 20 WrestleManias to keep it going. So I don't mean to be calling this WWE's old folks home, because if these guys think they can still go and WWE still wants to pay to put them out there and think that people care about it, I'm all for it. You know what it is? I mean, but in my opinion, as of right now, I hope this is off the books.